Hello and welcome to this short presentation on Songs of Freedom, protest music to support prisoners. My name's ADavies and over the next 5 to 8 minutes I'm going to be speaking about this topic. But first I'd like to make an acknowledgement of the traditional owners of the land where I'm speaking, the Noongar people. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, first I want to look at what exactly a protest song is and think about how we define a protest song. After this, we're going to look at two case studies of protest songs that helped prisoners, and we're going to think about how exactly the language in these songs helped the prisoners in each case. Well, what is a protest song? Well, if we look at this quote by Elizabeth Kaiser, she says that to protest is to verbalize a dissatisfaction with the status quo. And I would tend to agree with her. Now, Kaiser goes further and talks about protest songs themselves. And she says that even when spoken protest is not feasible, people sing expressions of discontent, sometimes disguised against social injustice. Music is irrepressible, inexpensive, and memorable. It is a facile tool for proclaiming the negative, raising consciousness, achieving consubstantiality, enlisting support, and inspiring followers. Now, from this, I fully agree with what Kaiser's saying. And in summary, I think we can say that music and song can act as a tool to inform on social injustice and to effect change. So let's look at one of these case studies to see how music can do these things. The first protest song written in aid of a prisoner that I'd like to focus on is the song Hurricane, written by Bob Dylan, Jack Levy, and performed by Bob Dylan. The song Hurricane is written about a boxer, and that boxer is Rubin Hurricane Carter. Now, in 1967, Carter was accused and convicted of triple murder in his hometown of New Jersey. Carter then decided to write a novel protesting his innocence and the fact that he was framed by corrupt police authorities. In the course of time, this novel, the 16th Round, as it was called, made its way into the hands of Bob Dylan. And Bob Dylan decided to visit Carter in prison. Now, Bob Dylan, as you may know, is a famous singer-songwriter, probably most famous for his protest songs in the early 60s that followed in the vein of artists such as Woody Guthrie. Songs like Blowing in the Wind and Hard Rain's Gonna Fall were famous, but Dylan for a long time wasn't associated with those protest songs, and it wasn't until 1975 that he decided to write Hurricane after some hesitation because he didn't feel he could do the story justice. So Dylan visited Carter in jail and he eventually decided to write Hurricane. So what does the language in the song do for Carter's cause? Well, first of all, the way the song is written is in the form of a long story. It's actually quite long as a song. It's around 8 minutes long. And in that song, we get the sense that Dylan is writing almost a film in a short song. And it's interesting that Hurricane was actually made into a movie at the end of the 90s with Denzel Washington starring. But in the song, the part of Hurricane, of Carter, is definitely seen as the protagonist, and then the authorities are seen as the antagonists, the evildoers, so to speak. And we can see this from one of these selected lines from a song. Here comes the story of the hurricane, the man the authorities came to blame. Almost that the authorities came with the intention that they were corrupt before they looked at the evidence. And also for something that he never done, well, it's clear that Dylan is saying that Carter is an innocent man. Well, from this, can we say that this song actually helped Carter to become free? Well, Carter did become free, but it wasn't until 1985. Actually, there was an appeal in 1976, a year after the release of the song, but Carter was convicted once more. And it wasn't until 1985 that Carter was released from prison and his conviction was cleared or quashed. Now, I think it would be a stretch to say that the song actually was the sole cause or catalyst for his release. I think it would be unfair to the other people who are involved in championing Carter's cause. But I think it's definitely true to say that the song was a really big influence or catalyst in making Carter's story known to the public. And I think that the next case study actually follows in the same vein as this. So let's have a look at the next. Our second song comes from another continent and another decade. Now, in the early 80s, it's hard to believe, but Nelson Mandela was a name that wasn't really widely known outside South Africa. But the anti-apartheid movement was definitely starting to take full swing. In Britain, a man called Jerry Dammers, who was in a band with the Specials, once the band split up, decided to write a song focusing on anti-apartheid movement. Now, he didn't know much about the man, but he chose to write a song about Nelson Mandela. That song became a big movement worldwide for the anti-apartheid movement, and arguably was one of the main causes for the release of Mandela some years later, as his plight became widely known worldwide and increasingly global pressure from other countries was on South Africa and the South African government to release Mandela. It was actually played at his 70th birthday celebrations in London around the world to an estimated audience of around 600 million people, which undeniably had an effect. And it's actually the chorus line of the song itself that, because it's so upbeat and so easy to follow and so easy to repeat. And I think this brings us back to our original point that song can be so powerful because it is so easy to memorize and it's so easy to pass on. Okay, thanks very much for listening to my presentation. Here are a few lists of the works cited that I've used for my research, and also at the bottom we've got a couple of links to both of the videos should you be interested in listening to the songs themselves. Thank you.